Let's see about sclera and its disorders. Sclera is a tough, white colored, opaque outer covering of the eyeball. Maximum thickness of sclera is 1 millimeter posteriorly and the minimum thickness of sclera is 0.3 millimeters at the insertion of extraocular muscles. And the sclera forms posterior 5/6 of the eyeball. Diseases of sclera. Inflammatory disorders of sclera include episcleritis and scleritis. Episcleritis when only the superficial part is involved. Scleritis when the deep part of the sclera is involved. First, let's see about episcleritis. Episcleritis is a benign inflammation of the deep subconjunctival connective tissue with superficial scleral lamellae. So here the superficial sclera is in episcleritis. Etiology of episcleritis. Endogenous toxins leads to allergic reaction and lymphocytic infiltration, due to which there is episcleritis. Types of episcleritis. It is of two types: simple diffuse episcleritis and nodular episcleritis. In simple diffuse episcleritis, there is diffuse redness due to engorgement of the episcleral vessels. So the redness is diffuse over the sclera. Whereas in nodular episcleritis, there is circumscribed nodule of dense leukocytic infiltration which is located around 2 to 3 millimeters from the limbus. Limbus is nothing but sclerocorneal junction. This is the limbus. And it is hard, tender and immovable. And the color is purple. So it is a purple color nodule. It is not bright red. This is the difference between simple diffuse episcleritis and nodular episcleritis. Symptoms of episcleritis. Most commonly it is seen in young adults, more common in females than in males. So the symptoms include redness, which can be either mild or there can be no pain. So the pain can be either mild or without pain. The redness and the pain is present in one or both the eyes. There is no discharge and there is foreign body sensation. Coming to the treatment of episcleritis, in mild cases, lubricant alone is effective for the treatment, whereas in moderate to severe cases, topical steroids have to be given, which is fluorometholone given 4 times a day, and NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen 400 mg given 4 times a day, or indomethacin can be given. You've seen about episcleritis. Now coming to scleritis. Scleritis is of two types: anterior scleritis and posterior scleritis. First, anterior scleritis. The anterior scleritis resembles episcleritis, but it extends more deeply. This is bilateral in nature and it is associated with connective tissue disorders in about 50% of the cases. Symptoms of anterior scleritis are pain, redness, watering, discharge, and there could be either bluish or brownish discoloration. Anterior scleritis is further of two types: non-necrotizing and necrotizing. The non-necrotizing is further of two types: nodular and diffuse. In both these, there is thinning of the sclera, so the sclera becomes weak to withstand the increased intraocular pressure, leading to ciliary staphyloma. In necrotizing anterior scleritis, it is of two types. Either it can be associated with inflammation or without inflammation. With inflammation, it is associated with anterior uveitis and systemic autoimmune disease. Here, the eye is red, painful, and there is progressive worsening of the symptoms. In necrotizing anterior scleritis without inflammation, it is seropositive rheumatoid antigen is present and there is painless scleral thinning, which leads to ischemic necrosis. So with inflammation is painful, without inflammation is painless. Coming to posterior scleritis. Posterior scleritis is the inflammation with thinning of the posterior sclera. This is not associated with any systemic disease. Here, there is no pain or there is no anterior segment involvement, so the diagnosis is easily missed. Diagnosis of posterior episcleritis is B-scan ultrasound and CT scan. Coming to the investigation is through systemic examination to rule out any autoimmune disease or any systemic diseases. So the investigations include complete blood count, RF rheumatoid factor test using latex agglutination test, Mantoux test for TB, and detection of ANA antibodies, anti-neutrophilic antibodies, detection of ANCA, anti-neutrophilic cytoplasmic antibodies, FDA-ABS to rule out syphilis, TPI, Treponema pallidum immunochromatography, then X-ray chest and X-ray of sacroiliac joint, double immune complex, complement fixation test, and ANF should be assessed. Treatment of posterior scleritis. Usage of lubricants, oral non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, oral prednisolone 1 mg per kg single dose for 1 week, followed by 20 mg per day for 2 to 3 weeks. And immunosuppressants should be given like cyclophosphamide, methotrexate, cyclosporin and azathioprine, along with antacids like ranitidine 150 mg twice a day. If there is risk of perforation, we should do scleral patch grafting. The next disease is staphyloma. Here the staphy means bunch of grapes, so there is bunch of grapes appearance. Staphyloma is nothing but ectasia of the outer coat, which is the uvea and the sclera, due to thinning of the coat and increased intraocular pressure. Classification of staphyloma based on the site. The staphyloma can be either anterior staphyloma, intercalary involving the root of iris, equatorial, posterior and ciliary. Ciliary, it is lined by ciliary bodies. So anterior staphyloma present anteriorly, posterior present posteriorly, equatorial near the equator, intercalary at the root of iris and ciliary near the ciliary body. Anterior staphyloma. Anterior staphyloma is anterior to the equator, the cause for which is corneal ulcer, which is perforated leading to production of pseudocardia. Further, it causes anterior staphyloma. Intercalary staphyloma, it is present at the limbus and it is lined by the root of iris. Cause for intercalary staphyloma is marginal corneal ulcer, perforating injuries, anterior scleritis and sclerotia perforans. Ciliary staphyloma at the ciliary zone up to 8 mm behind the limbus and it is lined by ciliary epithelium. The next type is equatorial staphyloma, which is present at the equatorial region 14 mm behind the limbus and it is a relatively weak area due to passage of venae varicose and lined by the choroid. The next type is posterior staphyloma, which is present at the posterior pole and lined by the choroid. Most common cause of posterior staphyloma is degenerative high myopia. Treatment for any type of staphyloma is treating the cause of the staphyloma. Next, let's see about the tumors of the sclera. Two important tumors are choriostomas and malignant tumors. Choriostomas are nothing but normal tissue at abnormal site and these are benign-like conditions. Malignant tumors include retinoblastoma and malignant melanoma. Next, coming to the congenital anomalies of the sclera, important of which is blue sclera. Blue sclera is bluish discoloration in the sclera. Most commonly this occurs due to thinning of the sclera, due to which the uveal pigments shines through the sclera producing the blue color. Etiology for blue sclera. Most commonly it is hereditary and it is a component of the osteogenesis imperfecta, which includes the triad of blue sclera, deafness, that is hearing loss, and fragilatus osseum, which is frequent bone fractures. So the blue sclera is a component of the triad involving osteogenesis imperfecta. Others include Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, Marfan syndrome, and pseudoxanthoma elasticum. So this is all about sclera and the important diseases of sclera. Thank you.